and welcome back to the CV Warrior podcast. Here we shine the spotlight on those who embody resilience, face challenges head on and inspire others with their journey. I'm Sam Isaac, and on today's episode we have a very special guest joining us. So today we're honoured to feature Leamington's own Danny Quartermaine, the current IBF and WBO European Super Featherweight champ. Danny will be looking to build on his current record when he makes his 13th professional appearance later on this year. He started his journey as a professional when he stopped Ibrar Riaz back in 2020. He currently resides in Leamington Spa with his family and is coached by Edwin Cleary at Cleary's Boxing Gym. 2024 has already been a year to remember for the Warwickshire local, and he is keen to add his family name to the annals of the world boxing elites. Welcome to the show, Danny.
Nice to meet you. Brilliant. Thanks for having me here.
No, that's cool. So to start off, let's just venture back in time a little bit. We ask this question to a lot of the guests that comes on, but just to start off, can you share with us where you grew up and what your early life was like?
Yeah, so there's not too much to delve into in terms of my early life. It's pretty good. I had a pretty good upbringing. Went to Covington School, where I live now, and then went to North Leamington School, secondary. Did pretty well at school, focused on my schoolwork, but also had a lot of input into a lot of sports. So I used to play a lot of football, rugby, and then obviously as I got into secondary school at the age of 11, I took up boxing, mainly due to the fitness part of it. But after about 3 years of consistently being in the gym and training, Edwin asked me whether I wanted to compete, and it was on the first home show at the Assembly Rooms in Leamington, so it was a home debut, and basically I got the win, and that feeling, I think, from winning and the crowd obviously being there, and because I'd always took part in team sports, football and rugby, I don't think you got that same feeling when you won, because it was a team effort. It wasn't just an individual sport like boxing. So I think the feeling from getting that win really pushed me on to feel like I want to do it more. I want to carry it on. I want to have another fight. I want to carry on competing, because that feeling that you had is indescribable. And a lot of people within boxing will say that the feeling you get when you win, you just can't describe it. But again, on the flip side, the feeling that you get when you lose, again, is horrendous. But that's why you have to put in so much time and effort to make sure that you don't lose.
Yeah, you might have answered the next question that I was going to ask you. It was going to be, were there any pivotal moments in the early years that guided you to the path you're on now? Would you say that was maybe taking up boxing in year 11?
No, I think when I was 11 years old, I had a lot of other sports that I'd say relatively good at, and somehow managed to fit all of it in within a week's schedule. You know, football training, rugby match, football match, and also along with boxing training. You know, I remember some days, I think it was a Monday, I used to have football training. So what I used to do is finish school, go to the boxing gym first, train there, and then I'll have to get a lift then from boxing gym straight to football training and carry on. And that was ongoing for a good 6 or 7 years, even till the age where I could drive and take myself. I remember quickly finishing boxing, shooting off in the car to football, and sorting that out. But I think the pivotal stage in my decision was probably maybe at the age of about 16. I decided that rugby couldn't carry on anymore. I could carry on playing a bit of football, but my sole focus had to be boxing. I think that was mainly down to the fact that I believed I could go further within boxing than I would have done football or rugby. I played at a reasonably okay level. I played for Stratford Town, like a semi-pro team, and played rugby for the county as well. But when I looked at boxing, you know, I was winning Midlands titles, pushing on national level. So straight away, I could see that I was probably going to excel more at boxing, than I would have done the other two.
Yeah, well, I mean, it seems like you are like a natural athlete, and to be honest, in terms of rugby, I reckon you would have been lethal on the wing.
You could probably say that now, but I think back then I used to play hooker, so I used to play hooker for the counties, which you probably laugh about because I'm only about 5'7" and weigh next to nothing now. But back then I was a bit chunky, a bit stockier. But I think it's more so like the mindset as well.
Yeah.
That I had. You could probably count on me in a rugby match to make a lot of tackles. So.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned you played rugby when you were a kid, because my next question is, did the younger Danny have any fears of fighting?
No, I wouldn't say that I had an upbringing whereby I got into a lot of fights. I knew I could handle myself. A lot of other people have touched on it as well before in the past. My dad was in the military and in the parachute regiment and the Pathfinders, and I think it was always installed in me and probably my brothers and from a young age that when we're competing with stuff, it wasn't made that we had to win, but we were always pushed to do as well as we possibly could. It was not drilled into us, but it was always mentioned. Make sure you give it your all and you push as hard as you can, and whether it be football or rugby, if you're making a tackle, make sure you give it 110% and don't go 50 in a 50-50. Don't like back out. That's when you're gonna get hurt, etc. So you had to have that mentality throughout all sports, and I think that's why I probably did quite well with a lot of sports. Boxing, again, you have to go in that fight no matter who it's against, whether it be someone who's 16 stone, 6'8". You still have to have that same mentality that you will go in there and you will fight them.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, that doesn't happen in boxing, but you have to have that mentality, that fighting mentality, which I believe that a lot of fighters do. But I also believe that it's hard to drill that into someone. I think they're almost born with that mentality.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's different ways in which I've made decisions in taking up boxing full time. Only 2.5 years ago, I'm lucky enough to say that I am literally living my dream by boxing full time.
Wow.
I don't think I'd have been able to get to the level I am now if I wasn't. And especially, like we said, 2024 has been a good year so far, picking up them 2 titles.
Yeah, and speaking of titles, when you were younger, did you dream of being a world champion?
It's quite cliche, isn't it? But I think I'm a bit of a fan of the Rocky films, and as probably most kids were that had to go in the gyms and stuff. They'd watch Rocky, and next minute, they'd be in the garage punching the punch bag, reenacting what's going on.
Running up the stairs to the
town
hall.
Exactly that. And I know it's cliche, and I watch it quite a lot. I've watched the films numerous times, and I could probably word for word give you some of the words, but I think it's all inspiration, isn't it?
Yeah.
You see what happens in these fights, and you look back at the films now, they're not that realistic, are they? Whether someone could get hit as many times as Rocky did and then carry on and win, whether that would happen in modern day, I do not know. But it's a film, but there's also morals and stories and messages behind the film.
Yeah.
Which I think I understand and believe in as well.
Yeah. Well, that's obviously like the Rocky films. Like it's it definitely like it makes you feel like you want to get out there and you want to go and train and be the best that you can be.
Yeah, I think the films basically grasped everyone's heartstrings more so, and I think at a time, I think it was maybe the late 1980s. I think they actually put a poll out and asked who the heavyweight world champion was at the time, and I think around 70% of the people that contributed to this poll thought it was Rocky Balboa, and he's just a character.
Yeah, and the number one contender, Thunder Lips.
Yeah.
So, just going back to your childhood, would you say there were any like cultural influences that shaped who you are today?
I think just guidance more so with parents, friends. Edwin played a massive role in what I'm doing today. I believe that the culture within Cleary's boxing gym is different to anywhere else. I've been at the gym for 17 years now.
Oh wow!
And it feels like I've been there about 3 years, because the time goes so quickly because everyone's having fun. You know, one day you lot will be able to come into the gym and witness it yourselves. You know, you go in there and there's mixed ages, mixed genders, mixed backgrounds and cultures, religions, etc. But none of that matters. Because you can go in there and be yourself, yeah.
And you're all tied together by the same thing, like the love of skilled combat. And that's something that you all share.
Everyone enjoys it, but it's because, you know, you go to school and some people like school, some people don't. And the people that don't like the school are the ones that are constantly getting told off, or someone's picking on them, or it makes their life unenjoyable. Whereas by the boxing gym, it gives you that freedom, because there is none of that bullying. There's no one there that's telling you off. You know, don't get me wrong, the coaches have to have a role and make sure you stick into your training routine. But they'll say it. It's up to you as an individual, as a boxer, to do the training you need to be doing, because it's you going into the ring at the end of the day, the one getting punched. It's not them. If you don't want to put the time and effort in, and then you decide you want to go and fight, you know, you'll soon get found out when you go to an amateur show and you're matched up against someone on the reasonably same level as you, and you're getting absolutely pummeled. And then you'll soon be questioning, I wish I'd put the extra few hours in that I didn't do, whereby I was either messing around with my mates outside, or I was messing around in the gym and weren't listening. You know, you only have yourself to blame in this game.
Because and there are some people that go to the gym, like you can go in and you can get a good workout done in half an hour, and there are some people that will be in there for 2 hours and haven't really done much. They're just, you know, chatting by like the water cooler and just walking on the treadmill.
No, don't get me wrong, there's always people that come in and out of the gym. You know, I've been there 17 years now, and I'm quite lucky. I've seen the different phases of people coming in. Bear in mind, I started when I was 11 years old. So I was in the gym with lads who were 26, 27, even some 30-year-olds at the time. And obviously over time, you know, they get to a certain age and move on to other things. But again, I've been able to see the phases and waves of different people coming through. And now I'm probably one of the older people in the gym who's still competing. And there's a lot more kids coming through now, which is nice to see. I'm kind of looking at it from a different perspective now as to what I was before. When I first started, I was the youngest one there. I was the kid. I was the one that, you know, was getting looked after. Whereby now my role's changed a little bit, where I have to try and influence and inspire and help the others along with my journey as well.
And you're taking sort of like a more like a mentorship role to all the
I don't see it, and people will comment and say, you know, you're a role model to these kids, etc. at times, and you know, they're inspiring to do what you're doing. I don't look at it that way, because I still see that me and the rest of the boxers in the gym, we're all just one team. It's not them and me, you know, we're together. So it's nice to hear these comments. I don't see it myself, because maybe that's just me being humble, but I believe that we're all part of the same team. So without them, I couldn't be doing some of the stuff that I'm doing, and vice versa.
Yeah, it's like a family, pretty much.
Yeah, I'll still get in there and have a mess around, body sparring with a few of the young kids there. Like, to me, I can still learn stuff from that. You might think, why the hell is he getting in with I don't know, Taylor, who's 12 years old? Well, what's he going to learn? But you can always learn stuff. And I think that's always been drilled into us from a young age at Cleary's, that you don't have to body spar someone that is your weight, your age, your ability, because boxing people who aren't of your ability allows you time and experience to try stuff out that you wouldn't normally try out. Different moves, different shots, because it gives you that opportunity to try it out, fail, and not also get hurt. So there's different aspects to it all, and I think that's the great thing about Cleary's boxing gym, that we do loads and loads of body sparring. So you can get kids sparring with adults. You can have different weight classes sparring together, learning different things, different styles. You're not subject to head sparring 3 times a week, whereby it only takes a kid of maybe 11, 12 years old, give it a couple of chances, gets a bloody nose, gets watery eyes, etc., and he doesn't want to come back to the gym anymore.
So sometimes
scaring people away from it.
Turned away. And you never know, little Taylor might give you a nasty liver shot. You could be on the receiving end of it.
No, definitely.
But anyway, I wanted to talk about your journey, because your pro boxing journey is inspiring, so I wanted to expand on that. So boxing, it requires commitment and consistency. So I know you talked about your time in the gym. Could you break down like a typical training day for us?
Yeah, so I'll talk you through what my typical training day was before I went full time, because a lot of people don't understand how difficult it can be to try and mix both together, working a full-time job, and especially probably the kids within the boxing gyms don't understand that yet, because they go to school at the moment and then they'll box after, whereby when you start going to work, things change, you need to make an income, you're of an age where you have bills, etc., to pay outgoings, etc., so there is a need to work. You can't just sponge off mum and dad. But so my day originally starts probably about 7 o'clock. It used to 6-7 o'clock, and I'd go to the normal gym in the morning. It'd be the workout mill, which I do train at now still. I'll be training there in the morning, doing like a normal cardio session. I then finish there, go home, breakfast, grab my work stuff, and off to work. And then come 5-6 o'clock, finish, and then back to the boxing gym to do my boxing session there for a good couple of hours.
Wow.
When you look at then leading into fights, I again had to put a bit of extra work in, had to make sure I was on weight as well. So there'll be times where I'll be training in the morning, I'll be going to a full day's work, go to the boxing gym for a couple of hours, and then even after that, I then go back to the normal gym just to do another extra little session to finish off. So that over time can definitely wear you out. You start to tire, and you start to feel it, because you're constantly going from one to the other without the rest time. Whereby now, thanks to sponsors, I'm able to be a full-time athlete. I'm able to train in the mornings. So this morning I've had 2 sessions already. I can finish, but I get a gap between sessions. That's the thing. I get time to recover. I get time to fuel up, to eat, to drink, to plan stuff. Whereby before, with a full-time job, it's going from one to the other, which can be quite relentless at times. With being full-time now, it allows me that rest and recovery time. That plays a massive part in the sport I do. And you'll see it with other athletes. They're constantly getting injuries, or they get an injury and it sets them back. It could be 6 months.
Especially if it's a nasty injury as well. Like if you like break a bone or something, that can put you on the shelf for ages.
I think the more so you look at yourself and you believe that you need to look after your body a lot more. I'm only 27 now, and still I need to make sure that I'm recovering. I'm taking that time out that I need to at times. Getting a fight out of the way in a fight camp, etc. Then I know that after that's done, I need downtime. I need to make sure that I'm getting the right food in me to recover. I'm giving myself that downtime to just relax, take my mind off things. It all adds up, and I think it's like with most sports. I think you have off seasons, etc. Pro boxing is a little bit different. There isn't really an off season.
No, because
you're not going to be fighting every single week, and you're not going to be fighting every single month. So you do have them schedules whereby you have a week or two of downtime. You're still training, but you can be in the gym and have fun as well at the same time. You're
constantly training, and like it's not like the football season where like they have time off and they're able to go on holiday and stuff like that, and do all the other things. You have to constantly be working, because there might be someone else in the same division putting in the more work than you are at the like they could surpass you. But you've talked a lot about like like the work in the gym and like how much effort it takes. What looking on the flip side of that, what would you say your fondest memory of boxing has been so far throughout your career?
I'd say my fondest thing, and I can carry on talking about this as well, is the fact that, without being big-headed, I've got a growing fan base. A lot of the things that I've achieved has been down to the fact that people have supported me. And I'm constantly conscious of the fact that these people have helped me, whether it be sponsors, whether it be people buying tickets, whether it just be people putting kind words on social media, etc., or inspiring me in that aspect. You know, they've all added to this picture. And I constantly mention it in interviews, you know, I'm doing this for Leamington Spa. And that's how I consistently feel. I feel like I need to push on, do more to do it for the people that have supported me along the way, almost give back to them. And as you probably know, you know, Leamington is a boxing town. It's only a small town, but you know, they had a middleweight world champion of Randolph Turpin who beat one of the greatest ever, Sugar Ray Robinson. You know, there's not many towns can say that they've had a fighter from them that have done that and on that level. And I believe that this era of fighters coming through Leamington Spa, whether it be myself, whether it be Lewis Williams, whether it be, you know, the amateur kids in the gym coming up, I believe this is the next era whereby you're going to see champions, you're going to see bouts being brought back to Leamington Spa because the talent is there.
Well, you've already brought 2 belts back today. I mean,
yeah, and again, I want to push on more, and my next objective would be probably a British title. Whether we can make this happen or not, but I'd love to fight for a British title at Villa Park because that was also where Dick Turpin won his British title. So that'd be a phenomenal story to be able to hold.
So I was going to say, you know, you wanted to win a British title, but back in June you became a 2-time European Super Featherweight champion. Congratulations, by the way.
No, thank you very much.
That's amazing. Was that your hardest war to date?
I'd say so. As a professional, them two would have been the hardest fight so far. As an amateur as well, I think I've had tougher fights, but I can only talk over a 3-round period because that's the longest you do it as an amateur. The thing with my amateur background is I had a lot of fights. I had 89 fights.
Oh wow!
But it's not just the amount of fights; it's who I've fought. So if you manage to go back and look at my boxing card, you know, some of the names on there are top names. They've been boxing for England, been boxing for GB. You know, there's the European gold medalist at the time on there. He's now intercontinental champion, Ryan Garner. I fought Mason Smith, who was a top GB athlete at the time. You know, I was always put in at the deep end with some of my fights. But that's, again, that mentality. I wasn't worried about fighting these people. I believe that I always perform better when I'm under a lot of pressure. Or maybe the underdog.
Yeah, well, I would definitely say that, you know, because it seems that you come from a background. Obviously, you are a natural athlete, and you know you've been training for boxing since you were 11 years old, and your father was a paratrooper, which I never knew. I never knew that. But that's if you have someone with that military background, you're obviously going to have a lot more discipline and a lot more sort of mental strength to go through those situations where you might be put in the deep end. And speaking of deep ends, you know, the last fight versus James Cherigi, I think I'm pronouncing that right. He's a Romanian guy. You won via unanimous decision. I thought it was a great fight. Did the televised spectacle change your approach to battle? Because it didn't. It seemed like more of a war to me. It was very like. I think both of you just left it all out there in that ring.
Yeah. So with that fight, he wasn't the scheduled opponent to start off with. I think he got brought in with about 10 days notice.
Oh wow. Okay.
But these things happen in boxing, so that's why you have to always be ready, because you don't know when a fighter may pull out and you have to take in their spot. But it was a hard one, I think, because I didn't know much about him.
I think he came in slightly overweight, didn't he?
Yeah. So he didn't make the weight. He was going to come in heavier anyway. I don't believe that he was there to try and win the titles. I just believe that he was in there to try and cause an upset. And as you probably saw, round 1 didn't go quite to plan, but it didn't flash me or anything. It was literally just more of an off-balance shot.
Well, yes.
I think if you watch it closely in slow-mo, I actually land the shot, and it's my feet position aren't where they should be. And he obviously then lands a shot, causing me to stumble backwards.
Well, sometimes you just get caught, but you popped up straight away. It wasn't like you were really hurt.
Yeah, it's like a scene out of Rocky, really, wasn't it? And to be fair, the fight, within that fight, there had to be a change of game plan throughout it. You know, the first 5 or 6 rounds, you could probably say, are quite messy, scrappy. But again, that was the game plan, because we knew that we had to get on him to tire him out, to take away his shots, to take away the leverage on his shots. And come round 7 or 8, as you've seen it, I come out totally different. I come out boxing him, jabbing him, moving around the ring.
Yeah, he started slowing down a bit.
Yeah,
you were really catching him with some good body shots.
And that's what I mean. I think true professionals are able to adapt throughout fights. You know, it's okay having a game plan, but you need to have something else up your sleeve just in case that doesn't happen. You need to have an A B plan, a C plan, and probably a D plan, because you just don't know what's going to happen. You have to be ready for everything, and I think that the very, very top professionals at this sport who box at the top world level, they're that good because they're able to control the fight and also do as they want in a fight, but under extremely high pressure.
Yeah. I wanted to ask, some of our audience may be unaware of any upcoming fights relating to yourself. Can you give us an inside scoop of anything that might be on the horizon? So
as it's been announced, but the 7th of December in Sheffield on a GBM show, on the main event on DAZN. So if you can't make it for whatever reason to the show, it will be featured on DAZN. But tickets are available for the fight. It's defending my IBF and WBO title against a very well-known name in British boxing, Jack Bateson. Another step-up-in opponent. But come the 8th of December, we'll bring these titles back to Leamington Spa. Nice one. And where will people be able to buy tickets? From myself. So, you know, go through Cultured Violence as well if you need to in regards to tickets. Their details will be there to contact you in regards to them. Tickets are on sale now. And, so just contact them, contact myself, and try and get as many people as we can up there to support me on the 7th of December. Well, you know, if you want to buy tickets, if you get in touch with us or Danny Quartermaine, if you want to, you know, maybe drop your Instagram name or wherever people can find you on social media, and we'll get the tickets to you. So, I wanted to talk about the lessons you've learned and the wisdom that you've gained. So, every warrior's path, you get taught invaluable lessons. You've been competing for over a decade now, but I wanted to know, is your love for prize fighting bigger than your love for the Sky Blue Army? I would say that in regards to Sky Blue, I understand you're talking about Coventry City. No, I have been to a fair few Coventry City games. I wouldn't say that I'm a true supporter in terms of I don't go week in, week out. And I do go to the occasional game. I know a few of the players. I think we're quite fortunate around Leamington that we are situated so close to Coventry City football team, and that it just so happens that a lot of the players decide that they want to live and locate themselves in Leamington Spa whilst playing for Coventry City. So the involvement with Leamington and Coventry City is quite high, I'd say. Yeah. I've been fortunate enough to speak to a few of the players, and obviously I meet them as well. So I'm quite fortunate in that. But I do have a family member who is a true Coventry City fan, Paul Howes, and he is Sky Blue throughout. He will go anywhere and everywhere, no matter what. I mean, I think there's been a few times whereby he's gone to some of the games and then shot off straight after and coming to one of my fights. So his dedication was there to watch the Sky Blues and then obviously watch me after. But I understand that boxing and football sometimes do coincide. The likes of Lee Wood, who's a Nottingham fan, the likes of Josh Warrington, who's a Leeds fan. They're backed by their football clubs as well. I'm a strong believer that if you are a true fan, then you can pull that off and get them behind you.
Yeah.
But I also understand that if you aren't a true supporter and you don't go week in, week out and meet the loyal fan base that are there, they'll know if you're a true supporter or not. Because if they've not seen you enough, if you're going along the lines of I'm trying to get my Coventry City fan base with me as well, they're going to soon out you and say, hang on, you haven't been to a game all season, how can you call yourself a true Coventry supporter? So I do follow them. I do attend a few games, but I wouldn't say I'm a true supporter.
Oh, okay.
I would say I'm a football fan. I like watching football, no matter what team really. I'm just I take it. It's an enjoyable thing to watch more so. And to be fair, I'm not one that's too fussed whether they win or lose. I believe that when England were playing, you're very patriotic. You want them to win, and that's where it probably comes out of me more.
Yeah,
I just enjoy watching football.
I think the international games, because there's a lot more on the line, and it's very interesting because every boxer that I've spoken to, they're either a fan of football or they played football when they were younger, and it's very interesting to see because the two of them must coincide in some way. Apart from the diving, because I reckon if someone slide tackled you, I don't think you'd be diving. I think you'd be up trying to get in one.
Well, there's no diving in a boxing fight, is there?
No. Well, I mean, I imagine a few journeymen have probably done a few throughout their career, but anyway, so just stepping away from football for a second and going back to your amateur career. So I'm aware that you boxed at England camps. Was there any information that you learned that would be applicable to what you're doing now?
So I was fortunate enough to box a couple of times for England, and won both of them fights, which is great. The difficulty I see now with amateur boxing and the England pathway / GB pathway is that it's extremely difficult to get on it, and thereby it can be quite cutthroat. If you get onto England, but then maybe 1 year you have an off season, they kind of get rid of you and they're done until you win it and get back on again. But a little bit like GB, there's fighters out there that have been on GB for maybe 6 years, maybe 5-6 years, lived up in Sheffield at the EIS in Sheffield, trained, competed for England, won medals for England, and then at the drop of a hat, a few circumstances come into play, and there's maybe you're not selected or you've not medalled for at a tournament, and they can just drop you at the flick of a hat. It can be as cutthroat as that, and I feel that at times, I know this because a friend of mine, this has happened to him. He's now come back from GB, and he spent 5 or 6 of his years up there, giving it his absolute all. He had an Olympic dream that was shattered, not down to his own choices either. Circumstances came into play, and he wasn't able to create that Olympic dream of going to the Olympics. And if you look at it, when he first started off, he was doing an engineering degree, all of that sort of stuff. And then you're left with fending for yourself after 6 or 7 years being there and giving it your all. You then dropped and then you're left fending for yourself, if I'm honest. And then, he hasn't now got an engineering degree to fall back on if he needed to go into work. He hasn't had that experience. So, but he's fortunate enough that he has landed on his feet and he is a professional boxer. And I don't know whether you watched him the other week, but Lewis Williams obviously signed with Queensbury, and and boxed on TNT the weekend and got the win. So
that's great.
Again, it shows setbacks, but also people achieving things from these setbacks and learning from it. But I'm sure he'll tell you, but he had a great time on GB. He's been to many countries all across the world, and he's won many titles. But it can be quite cutthroat at times, and you're all competing with each other on there.
Yeah, and speaking of like the cutthroat, like sort of like business sense of boxing, can you recall during your boxing career where you really felt like that hunger, that desire to win?
Yeah, I believe that, especially when challenging for titles, it can definitely spur you on. There can definitely be more determination. I think more so because there's more to lose.
Yeah.
And that's whereby you need that determination, that grit, on a day-to-day basis to constantly be thinking about what you could win. And that's going to obviously inspire you to train harder, to push on more, give it that extra few hours each day. Because, when there's more on the table to lose, you try a lot harder.
Yeah. Now, Danny, I know you're all about training hard, but some people take the opposite approach. Have you ever encountered like a dirty fighter or a bit of a cheater in your career so far?
I wouldn't say a cheater. People probably say the same about me being sometimes a bit of a dirty fighter. I think in the amateurs I had a bit of a reputation. I wouldn't say it's done me all that bad. No one has ever, out of choice, asked to have a rematch.
Oh wow!
As an amateur, I know as a pro, there's a couple that have come out of the woodwork and said, "Oh, well, I'll fight you again. Give me some more notice, etc." But there was levels to it all, and I think that having a bit of a reputation in the amateurs did do me well at times, but also hindered me because I maybe couldn't get certain fights that I wanted to get.
Yeah.
I believe that there are fighters and styles make fights. I believe that some of the most exciting fights are the ones where the public just see toe-to-toe boxing, two people slugging it out. If you look at Artur Agati Ward, their trilogy was incredible, and people still talk about it to this day. The amounts of shots that they took, but also threw, is out of this world. They both just slugged it out, and that's what the general public want to see.
I think, and this is gonna sound really bad because I'm a bit more of a MMA fan than I am a boxing fan, I would say. But and I can't remember the guy's name, but it was an old Pride fight, and it was between a Japanese guy and this big American badass called Don Fry. And I remember the fight started, and it's like they had one hand on the back of the neck, and they were just punching each other in the face repeatedly, and it was just like they left it all out there. So speaking of leaving it all out there, how do you control focus in like the tougher rounds?
I believe that focus during a fight is a massive thing because, like you said, one punch can change everything. And if your focus drops for a minute, even a second, that's when the fight can change drastically, and you can be on your ass. You can get knocked out, and that's why you have to be solely focused all the time. I think people who are in the dressing room will see that leading up to the fight, whether it be an hour or so before, my persona, my character changes, and I think that's down to that focus on what's about to happen. The best way to describe it is fighters are almost like gladiators. It's not a normal thing to do. It's not normal to say to someone, right, in an hour's time you're going to go over there and you're going to have a fight with someone. It's not a normal thing for a human being to have to do.
No.
I believe it's almost similar to the gladiators, whereby they're told they're summoned up to fight a person, and they get that mindset ready that the gladiators going out there to almost die, aren't they? Really.
Pretty much, yeah. And it was
unfortunate enough that's not going to be a similar case, but things happen in the boxing ring. It can be quite devastating, and obviously there's injuries. The last fight, I had about 3 cuts across my eye.
Oh yeah.
So that you're going in there and you're going to get hurt. It's different to a lot of other sports whereby you can do as much training, be as physically fit as possible, and you can run an 800 meter run and lose, but be absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Whereby you go into a boxing ring, you can be as physically fit as possible. You can have done all the time you need, but your mental state might not be there, and you're going to get hurt if you don't do the job.
Yeah. Well, I would say that you are a bit of a gladiator, and to be honest, considering you are a gladiator, we've actually got a lion outside right there, ready for you to wrestle. But so I wanted to say, apart from the European Championships that you've won, and like the title that you hold and the belts that you've got right here, how does it feel knowing that you're in a highly competitive pool of world champion prospects?
No, it's a good weight class to be in. Super featherweight has always been an exciting weight class. Even looking back over the years, you had Naz at one point.
Yeah.
You've had a lot of top fighters. Roberto Duran. I believe he started off at super featherweight and lightweight, and his best weight class was lightweight. There's been a lot of exciting fighters come through the super featherweight, the rankings, and even in the meantime, you've had Lee Wood and Josh Warrington fighting it out, Michael Conlon fighting it out at the featherweight classes, whereby some of these now are moving up to super featherweight. So again, it brings a new trajectory to it all. I was fortunate enough to meet Joe Cordina on Saturday, and he's just moved up to lightweight, but he was 2-time world champion at super featherweight. So I think within British boxing, at super featherweight is amazing. There's a lot of fights out there. There's a lot of possibilities. There's a lot of options, and there's a lot of titles to win. It's busy. It's a busy weight class.
Well, it's been all the fighters in your weight class and all the boxers out there in the world, I would say they all have a warrior mindset, and your mindset has played a significant role in your career thus far. And I wanted to ask, how would you define a warrior mindset?
Win at all costs.
Win at all costs. That's perfect. That is. And do you have any tips that you're willing to share that help you maintain this mindset?
I think I get quite inspired by watching clips and videos, or maybe motivational videos, or watching documentaries on how other sports athletes, or even not just sports, actors, presidents, prime ministers, all sorts of people, CEOs of companies, etc., how their story and how they've got there. Because there's hell of a lot of stories whereby the people that you see now today as superstars, as celebrities, etc., they didn't have it all given to them on a plate.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stories behind people. There's a lot of stories behind how they got there. There's a lot of drawbacks. There's a lot of setbacks. Some that you just would be so surprised of, and probably going back to the Rocky thing, there's a story behind Sylvester Stallone and the film Rocky. It was based on himself. He got setbacks. He had film producers say, "We'll give you $250,000, but we don't want you in it."
Yeah, the Rocky film, it was quite under budgeted, and like a lot of the stuff they filmed, they didn't have extras. I know that the scene where he's running through the market and someone chucks him an orange, all of those people that were looking at him, it just happened. It wasn't planned. It wasn't it wasn't set up, but it's still.
But I think the thing with all these stories and that is, there was always risk. I think for people to be great, they have to take risk. If you're not willing to take a risk or take a shot at something, then you'll be the same as every other person, just doing a normal 9-to-5 job. If you're willing to do something you believe in and you love doing, if you're willing to take that risk, then most likely you work hard, you'll come out on top.
Yeah, and the people who take risks are usually the ones that become greats. And speaking of greats, Freddie Roach, you met Freddie Roach during a vacation to our international audience to America. So would you consider the Wildcard Gym as a potential fight camp location if you're ever competing in the States?
So that I've been over there twice now. Once before when I didn't have the titles, and more so recently when I have got the titles. And it was good that Freddie and his team had some sort of, you know, chat with me about what I'd progressively done and what I'd won. I think they were quite happy to see it. You know, I'd only gone and visited the gym, and I did have a few sessions at the gym, but I did get to have a bit more of a personal talk with Freddie and his team, and it could potentially one day be a situation where I could go over there and do a fight camp potentially. It's not. I'm not saying I need to, but it might be nice to go and do something different. Be somewhere in a world class gym where there is hundreds of champions that come out there. You know, Manny Pacquiao is going to be the key one to announce. But you know, Amir Khan, James Toney, Mike Tyson at one point.
I think he also worked with Oscar De La Hoya.
Yeah. It's good speaking to these people, especially Freddie. You know, the stories that they tell you. Behind a lot of it is fantastic. I love hearing it. I was fortunate enough quite a few years ago to go regularly to the Ingles gym when Brendan was still around. So again, he had hundreds of stories that he could tell you, and he'd roll them off, but it was interesting to listen to them. And I take an interest in some of the stories behind boxing and boxers and what goes on, and
of course
a lot of stuff that you see on TV is half of it. You know, you just see the fight, you don't see the build up, you don't see the ongoings in the change room, you don't see the build up in the gym, you don't see what goes around, you don't see how the managers are. You know, there's so many stories, and I think it's only until certain fighters retire that the stories come out, but they're enjoyable to listen to. They're interesting. Yeah,
and I think with all these fighters, you know, like the Pacquiaos, the De La Hoyas, all these people, they all have one thing in common: impact and legacy. So your boxing, it doesn't impact your life, but also impacts other people around you. So what impact would you like your career to have on you know, the aspiring warriors, maybe like the younger people in the gym?
Because maybe of my build, you know, I'm only small. I've always been a bit of a short ass, but I think it shows that you don't have to be genetically the biggest guy, the biggest person, the strongest, the fastest, etc. But more so, you just have to have that will and determination. I think it also, what I'd say is that just because you try something out and you're not good at it doesn't mean there's not something out there that you are good at. And whether that be sport, or whether it be with business, or whether it be anything in the world, that just because you try one thing and it's not right and it doesn't go so well for you doesn't mean you can't try something else that you find is the one for you. You know, my example would be I played football and rugby and thought I was alright at it, but then found boxing, and that's me. I found the sport that I should have been taking part in. Boxing, and you're only going to find that by trying things out. It's like with a lot of kids, you know, their dad might be an ex-football player and they're quite pushing them into a football team, etc., or playing football. You're putting a lot of expectation on that person, but also you need to allow them to express themselves and find their own sport or find their own hobby that they're interested in, because that's what I believe that Cleary's boxing gym does. It allows people to invent themselves, find what sort of people they are, and express their personalities without, maybe more so, their parents always being there watching, etc., where they're maybe a little bit hidden or reserved. Within a boxing gym, you can be exactly how you want to be.
So I understand that Ricky Hatton is a boxing hero of yours. So, and I also heard through the grapevine that you spoke to him before you won the IBF title. Is there anything did he offer you any advice for your professional journey?
I've been fortunate enough to meet him a couple of times, but yeah, we just asked him for a bit of advice, and it's probably quite hard for someone on the spot to just give you some advice. But in terms of his advice, he based it around a growing fan base. He had a massive fan base.
Yeah.
You know, some of his fights in Vegas, there was 50,000 Brits over there. The venue didn't even hold 50,000, but they just went there to be part of it. You know, and I like that about it. You know, that he brought a lot of Brits together to watch him fight.
Yeah.
And he's just said, just keep it local, keep it close to home, keep getting yourself out there. You know, I am quite social. I will go to the pub with a few mates. I will go out into town with my friends, etc. And you know, I'm out and about, and it's a great opportunity for me to speak to people and let people know when I'm fighting next, and almost keep yourself relevant. You know, but I go out there. I don't drink. I don't do drugs for one. Don't smoke. So for me, a lot of people question, how do you go out to these places, to a pub or to a club, and not drink? And I think it's just because I just have fun.
Yeah.
You know, I enjoy being around my mates and having a chat and having a laugh, etc. And talking to people, and you know, and people over time they come out and you get the same question over and over again. But you have to understand that they're all it's a form of interest in what you're doing.
And honestly, it is. That is something that I do find a bit sad about British culture. Is like we have got a big drinking culture, and like it's weird. If you say you don't drink, sometimes people will turn their nose and be like, "What? You don't drink?"
Yeah.
You probably heard that before. Oh, but you don't drink anything? Like, and it's just like, well, no, I don't. And
No.
But it's very very strange to me. But I know you've talked a lot about Cleary's, and you know how much time you've spent there, and how much time you've enjoyed. What would you say is the most important thing that Edwin has passed down to you, Edwin Cleary?
I believe that some of the most important things would be the fact that he allows us to be how we want to be.
Yeah.
He allows us to create our own styles of fighting. You know, I could go out there and try and box, and I would be a try and box like Muhammad Ali. I could go out there and try and box like Mike Tyson. I could try and box like Lewis Williams. It just don't work. If you have to you can have your inspirations and your idols and people you look up to within a sport or a business, etc. But you have to invent yourself. You know, if you look at it, I'm 5'7.5". I've got short arms.
The half's very important.
Yeah, massively important. I've got short arms. If I was to go out and try and box like someone who's got a really long reach and who's 6 foot tall, I get my head smashed off my shoulders. It's about inventing yourself, and I find that a lot of clubs you might go to them and they tell you the basics. You know, this stance like this, box like this. You know, off the jab, straight hand, left right, left hook. That's your traditional boxing. That doesn't suit everyone.
No, it
won't. That's why you have different styles in boxing, because different styles is more suited to different people. Yeah,
a lot of people are counter punchers. A lot of people like putting the pressure on.
Yeah, exactly. It's all different, and we've been allowed to in the gym to be able to express that and find our style.
Yeah. Now, just to switch things up and wrap things up, champ, I want to have a 12-round showdown with you. Not literally, because I'd get weighed in, but just a 12-round rapid fire questions. Okay, I want fast questions and fast answers. So, describe yourself in 3 words.
Ferocious, brave, committed.
Wow. What is a book, a TV show, or a movie that resonates with you?
Rocky.
You know what? That's the second time we've had that answer, and I knew it was going to happen. But what is one thing that you can't live without?
Boxing.
Wow. You know what? It goes without saying. What is your favourite way to relax?
Enjoying it with family and friends.
Nice. What is the favourite track on your current playlist?
Ready or Not, because that's my ring walk music.
What by Fugees?
That's it, yeah.
I love that tune. What is your ideal post-fight vacation spot?
Recently just done it with my girlfriend. We went to LA and Vegas.
Ooh.
So that was quite a nice,
I'd
trip.
love to go Cali one day.
I mean, love to go back to Vegas as well.
Nice. What about Caesar's Palace? You ever wanted to box there?
Yeah, that's. I was asked that question the other week. Where would be your ideal venue to fight? And a lot of people are probably saying Saudi and etc. For me, it's not. I'd definitely say it'd be Vegas, whether it be the MGM or whether it be Caesar's Palace.
Nice.
That would be the prime location for me to want to fight.
And what's your go-to cheat meal?
Cheesy chips.
That's a great idea. Great one. What is your favourite fighter of all time?
Roberto Duran.
Nice. And offense or defense?
Offense.
Nice. World champion or people's champion?
World champion.
3 Lions or Sky Blues?
3 Lions.
And culture or violence?
Violence.
Nice one. So Danny, it's been amazing talking to you. Before we wrap up, do you have any words out there for the aspiring athletes?
Yeah, just if you believe in something and you believe in it enough, go out and do it. Live the life and don't make regrets. And I just want to say a thank you to my friends and my family, my girlfriend, mum and dad, for their support throughout everything. And especially my sponsors. So you've got Scott Mauldin, you've got Scott Simpson, who Auto Fasteners. You've got another Scott Bailey. All Scots at the moment. You got RSD Decorating, Bennett's Bricklaying. So there's just a few, to name a few, that all contribute towards me living and breathing boxing and doing exactly what I'm doing now. And again, with a massive fan base, similar to what Ricky Hatton was telling me, build it around pubs and bars, etc. Because these are the people that love boxing.
Watching you.
And I've got a massive thanks to the Hope and Anchor pub, because they follow me everywhere I go, no matter what, and also the Bulldog pub. So they're 2 places whereby I have a massive fan base from them, and they're up for following me all over the country. So.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Danny, and thank you to our viewers for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, double jab the like button, subscribe, ring that notification bell so you don't miss an upload, and above all else, I always forget it, stay strong, keep embracing your inner warrior, and above all else, venture with honour.